The second week of the Bonn Climate Conference opened with informal consultations under the SBSTA. The ADP held roundtables as well as an informal meeting to discuss how to proceed. Workshops also convened. During lunch, a special event took place on enabling environments and policy frameworks for long-term finance. The event gave panelists and delegates the chance to reflect on enabling environments. Bernadette Mueller, lead negotiator for the G77 on finance, posed the question.
We have to have a common understanding of what we call climate change financing. Everybody says they're doing climate change financing, but what are they talking about?
Long-term finance work program co-chair Nadarev Sanyo explained.
Long-term finance is related to what has been promised in terms of the $100 billion per year by 2020. It is intended to serve as the platform for ensuring that there is means of implementation for developing countries in order for climate change to be addressed.
He continued.
What has been particularly stressed in this event is a growing sort of consensus that mitigation and adaptation need to be treated in a balanced way.
One of the European Union's lead negotiators on finance reflected on the importance of enabling environments.
Well, we've had a long debate about how we scale up finance, how we really mobilize finance for helping countries to tackle climate change. And it's not just a matter of how much money is flowing from north to south, but that's part of it. And that's what we've done with the Fast Start in the last few years, and we learned lessons last year from that experience. It's not just also about putting in place new institutions. We have the Green Climate Fund getting going, but what we need as well is to think about the wider framework. We just had an exchange on what we call enabling environments. It's what public policy can do to make finance work, to encourage, to work with investors to help deal with risk. It's not about shifting it from the public to the private sector. It's about how these can fit together.
Bernadette Mueller commented on the Green Climate Fund.
What we had in the instrument of the GCF is that it has to be needs-based. That is also part of the LTF work. It has to be bottom-up, it has to be subject to designated national authorities, it has to be within the context of a country-driven exercise. We're talking serious business here. We're not talking about making money for anybody. What we're talking about is addressing climate change.
One of the event panelists from the Global Environment Facility described her key message.
Our message to this working group is essentially consider the linkages between capacity building and the capacity to make the investments, with the understanding that the more the time elapses, the more probably the least capacity will be needed and the more investments will be made.
Sanyo concluded.
Climate change is a global problem that requires a global solution.
A Friends of the Chair Informal convened in the morning to address the SBI agenda. Excitement spread in the afternoon with rumor of an SBI plenary. This hope was dashed as it became clear that consensus on the agenda had not been reached and a plenary would not convene today.